They say every storage unit tells a story. Sometimes, it's the story of a family who fell on hard times, of furniture abandoned, photo albums gathering dust, and forgotten boxes stacked high. But in August 2025, inside a nondescript storage unit in the Dalles, Oregon, the story was darker than anyone could have imagined. The kind of story that makes you look at the world differently, at the locks, the doors, the shadows that hide behind everyday things. The kind of story that makes you wonder how much darkness can exist behind something as ordinary as a storage locker. The first shock came from the smell, a pungent, clinging stench that hit anyone standing near the unit before they even saw what was inside. It was the smell of death, heavy and undeniable, cutting through the ordinary air of the dusty storage facility. When the door was opened, the horror became visible. Black plastic bags hidden beneath layers of clutter and forgotten items revealed the unthinkable: human remains. Even seasoned officers later admitted they had never seen anything like it. Those remains were soon identified as belonging to Kiki Meihong, a young woman who had disappeared years earlier. A name that had lingered in whispered conversations, a disappearance that had haunted her friends and family, suddenly returned in the most gruesome and shocking way imaginable. For her family, it was closure drenched in grief. For the world, it was one of the most disturbing discoveries of the year, a story that instantly demanded attention. But then came the chilling question: who put her there, and why? Investigators quickly traced the evidence to a man most had never heard of, Richard Mike Robinson, a 59-year-old living across state lines in Colorado. Robinson wasn't caught at the scene. He wasn't even in Oregon when the storage unit's secret came to light. He was living a quiet, ordinary life, blending seamlessly into the rhythm of a new city, a new state, a new reality that no one suspected could conceal such a dark secret. And that's where the unease begins to settle in. Because it wasn't police detectives who discovered Kiki. It wasn't a tip-off or a vigilant neighbor. It was pure chance. A storage auction. Everyday people, hoping to find forgotten treasures, stumbled upon a nightmare hidden in plain sight. The randomness is chilling. If no one had bought that unit, if the rent had been paid just a little longer, if the door had remained locked another month or another year, Kiki's story might still be sealed away in darkness, erased from memory forever. The forensic team faced a painstaking process. The body had been hidden for years, decomposed and distorted by time and environment. Investigators had to reconstruct not only her identity but the timeline of her final days. Every fiber, every fragment of bone and tissue could tell a story, about where she had been, how she had died, and maybe even who had been involved. The process was slow, methodical, and heart-wrenching. Even the tools of science, DNA analysis, dental records, trace fibers, could only offer partial answers. And yet, they were enough to link the remains definitively to Kiki and, slowly, to connect the dots to Robinson. But who was Richard Mike Robinson? That question, still shrouded in mystery, is as unsettling as the crime itself. Was he a drifter, passing through states and leaving fragments of broken lives behind him? Or was he the quiet neighbor, the coworker, the man who blends in, unnoticed and unremarkable, while harboring the darkest of secrets? How does someone go through the motions of a normal life while knowing that human remains, carefully concealed, lie behind a locked door? The psychological implications are chilling. There are several haunting possibilities. 1. Robinson knew Kiki personally. Perhaps they were neighbors. Perhaps she rented from him. Perhaps she trusted him enough to let him close. And that trust, whatever form it took, became betrayal. In this scenario, the storage unit wasn't random. It was a calculated hiding place, chosen because Robinson knew the rent would keep the locker secured, and no one would question it. 2. Robinson wasn't the killer. But he knew. He knew what had happened and, instead of going to the police, he assumed the role of keeper of the secret. Perhaps he stored her body out of fear, or loyalty to someone else, or perhaps out of a dark, inexplicable calculation, keeping the truth locked up as though it were his own possession. 3. The possibility that terrifies investigators most, that Kiki wasn't Robinson's only victim. One body discovered in a storage locker raises a horrifying question: how many others? Did he have other lockers, other hiding places, other secrets scattered across the states? The thought transforms the discovery in Oregon from shocking closure to a door cracked open on a far bigger nightmare. And the details that gnaw at the mind even more: Robinson didn't abandon the unit. He didn't simply walk away. He kept paying rent, month after month, year after year. Why? Most killers want distance. They want to forget. They want to move on. Robinson did the opposite. He tethered himself to Kiki's remains, almost as if the locker itself was a lifeline, and without it, his secret, or perhaps his sanity, would unravel. Was it guilt? A subconscious punishment? Or control, the sick satisfaction of knowing he alone held the key to a secret no one else could see? Psychologists call this murderer's tethering, the compulsion to remain connected to the victim, the crime scene, or the evidence, even when it makes no rational sense. Every rent payment wasn't just a bill. It was a ritual. A renewal of silence. A recommitment to hiding Kiki from the world. And then comes the unnerving hypothesis: Robinson may not have intended the locker to be a grave forever. Perhaps it was a holding place, temporary. Perhaps he had plans to move her again. The only reason this secret came to light was chance, an auction buyer opening the door. Robinson didn't confess. He didn't alert anyone. The truth was ripped from him, exposed by accident. The implications are chilling. If one unit could hide a body for years, how many other secrets are out there? How many abandoned garages, storage units, sheds, and basements across America conceal horrors waiting to be discovered? Every padlock, every forgotten key, every metal door could hold another story no one wants to tell. But let's go deeper. Imagine the forensic work involved. Every clue tells a story: decomposition patterns suggesting how long she was there, fibers and residue hinting at the environment, fingerprints or DNA offering leads. Every layer of evidence speaks to a meticulous investigation, reconstructing Kiki's final hours, her possible interactions with Robinson, and the horrifying logistics of hiding her body. Investigators must piece together a puzzle with most of its pieces missing. Each fragment is crucial, each oversight potentially monumental. And then there's Robinson himself. A man who moved from state to state, living quietly while harboring a monstrous secret. Who is capable of such compartmentalization? A man who walks down the street, shakes hands, smiles, and sleeps at night, knowing that a human life rests in concealment. Was he cold, calculating, and remorseless? Or tortured, obsessed, and fearful of discovery? The psychology of a man like this is as chilling as the crime itself. Kiki, meanwhile, remains more than a victim. She represents a life stolen, a story interrupted. Each discovery, each forensic report, is a silent testimony to the person she was, not just the remains she became. Friends and family continue to grieve, struggling to reconcile the young woman they knew with the horrors uncovered in that storage unit. Speculation intensifies. Was Robinson part of a network? Did someone else aid in hiding Kiki? Could there be witnesses too scared to speak, afraid of reprisal or social scrutiny? Every unanswered question feeds the suspense, every theory grows darker. And then there's the randomness. The chilling reality that this nightmare was revealed only because of a storage auction. Had the locker not gone up for sale, Kiki might still be hidden, her story erased entirely. The thought forces the audience to reconsider ordinary spaces, storage facilities, abandoned lots, the places we never question, the spaces that seem mundane but could hide unspeakable secrets. The cliffhanger remains. Kiki's remains were found. Robinson is in custody. But the full story has yet to emerge. The forensic timeline hasn't been completed. Investigators are still piecing together the truth of her death, whether anyone else was involved, and the broader implications of Robinson's actions. Each revelation will peel back another layer of horror. The most haunting question lingers: if one storage unit could conceal a life for years, how many others lie hidden, silent, unnoticed? The discovery of Kiki's remains is not only a shocking true crime story but a grim reminder that evil does not always announce itself, that horror can lurk behind the ordinary, and that secrets sometimes survive only until chance decides to expose them. For now, the story waits. The courtroom will bring its revelations, forensic science will whisper its truths, and the world will watch. But until all answers emerge, the Dalles storage locker remains a chilling monument to the fragility of life, the randomness of discovery, and the darkness that can hide in the places we never think to check. Kiki Meihong's story is a story of life, death, concealment, and the unrelenting pursuit of truth. And Richard Mike Robinson? His true story, the why, the how, and perhaps the larger horror, is still waiting to be told. The final lock has been opened. But the darkness behind it remains.